Thank you all for joining us this Saturday evening or morning, depending on where you are joining for. And welcome to this webinar on building resilient careers, hosted by Bitosa, Bangalore or Bengaluru. Before we start, I will take you through some logistics items. This event will also be live on our Facebook page. If you don't know our Facebook page, it's Facebook/Bitosa Global /live. You can access the live video over there. We're also recording this webinar and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel and shared on our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. You will also hear from me once the recording is completed. I'll share it with you as a recording link that you can watch in your own time. You may take a screenshot or capture a part of this webinar and share this with your friends. I must say you must do this because that also gives us a lot more viewership. But please don't forget to tag us on social media while doing so. Many of you have already submitted your questions on the event page or sent us via email. We will have the Q&A once all the four speakers have made their opening remarks, and the host will indicate when the Q&A starts. To ask live, if you can simply type in your questions with your name and batch on the chat section of this meeting, that would help us a lot. Send that either directly to me, Vivek, or send it to Chandrasekhar. And we will collate the question behind the scene and pass it over to Srini sir. Last but not the least, we love feedback. You will receive an email regarding this and submit the responses as anonymous respondents. Our moderator today is Srini Bhopal sir. He's from the 1983-85 MBA batch. And while Srini sir earns his living by working with a company named Spire Technologies, he maintains his sanity by interacting with a bunch of absolutely amazing Bitosa Bangalore members. He is currently also the treasurer of Bitosa Bangalore. And with this, I would like to pass on the baton to Srini sir. Over to you. Let's get started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. I'm super excited to be here and thank you so much for the opportunity. I would like to say a few seconds, introduce you to Bitosa, the global chapter, the global nodal body, and also Bitosa Bangalore. Bitosa Bangalore is the oldest and perhaps the largest Bitosa chapter across the globe. We are a very, very vibrant community and we have launched various initiatives and programs, including Bitosa Innovation Conclaves, Beer Pe Charcha, of course, family socials, with the whole idea being connect, exchange ideas, support each other, and grow. Bitosa Global is the nodal body of all chapters across the globe. And again, the whole purpose of that organization is to support and help each other. Our members are students, young professionals, entrepreneurs, and CXOs. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of energy here in this group, which can be supremely useful to your careers. We urge all BIT alumni to register at bitosaglobal.org. We have over 25,000 members across the globe. So wherever you go, you have a home. So please do take a couple of minutes and register there. Talking about the topic, building resilient careers. All of us say that change is the only constant in life, and COVID-19 has perhaps given us all too much of this change. With whole industries and businesses shutting down, extended lockdowns, the isolation, the anxiety, the concerns about health, both for oneself and for families, this has changed the world. To help us not only deal with this, but also thrive in this environment, we have an amazing panel of speakers. We have an academician, we have an industry leader, and we have a person who's working at the highest echelons of government. So introducing the speakers, this is my privilege. Dr. Gopal Pathak was the ex-dean of student welfare, and his concern for students and the passion that he brought to that job was completely legendary. He not only continues to help students, but also be in touch with them. And some of those stories that he's told me personally are just unbelievable. The amount of work he does with each student and how much concern he has for them. He's right now the Vice Chancellor of Jharkhand University of Technology and helping the Jharkhand government think of education policies and make sure that the students are getting the best possible education there. The next gentleman on the panel is Jagdish Mitra. He's a Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Growth at Tech Mahindra. He's a graduate of BIT Mesra 1988-1991 batch. And he's worked, I guess, very uniquely, being one person who's worked with one company for 29 whole years. He's seen that company, Tech Mahindra, grow from 65 people to 160,000 people. So if you don't see the hair on his head, you know why that happened. So, and finally we have Arnab Kumar, who was the former program director of NITI Aayog. He's the honorary fellow at NITI Aayog right now. He's working on efforts of the government such as artificial intelligence, fintech, and digital economy. So with that, I would like to get started. The format that we have here is that we'll ask one question and we'll give each panelist a chance to answer those questions and request them to provide those answers, and then we'll go to the next question. Hope that's okay. Okay, thank you. So we'll get started. So Dr. Pathak, we'll start with you. What does the word resilience mean in this current context of jobs and about careers?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm really grateful to Bitosa Global Bangalore chapter to be here with you and getting an opportunity to share my views. And as we all know, this career resilience, what does it mean? This is a lifelong skill that gives us the strength to adapt the challenges throughout our professional career. We get challenges, professional career, all you are professionals sitting over here, you must have faced lots of challenges in your professional life. But today, when we are discussing this COVID-19 from March 21st, I should say, rather a bit earlier, the scenario has started in our house, work from home, there is no other option. But the kind of challenges we all are facing, particularly youngsters, I should say, because the companies, as far as industry is concerned, what is happening? Demand is less, so of course supply has to be less. Turnover is also getting down. Companies, they have started analyzing how many people they should keep, and they have analyzed, and many companies, they have already removed some of the employees. And even for temporary employees in the universities, I tell you, even our BIT Mesra, I can tell you, I can share with you, in my own university, although there is a guideline that during this time of COVID-19, nobody should be removed, but business persons cannot sustain, cannot survive. So every day, all the employees, not all the employees, most of the employees, they are at risk. They are under tremendous pressure, sleepless night. Nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. They are feeling totally insecure. Health is one important aspect that you had already mentioned, health of the person himself along with the family members, and he doesn't know that tomorrow what is going to happen. In American companies particularly, every day is mentally prepared, they can receive a sleep and say bye-bye to the company. So this kind of tremendous pressure, people are getting depressed, and it's very obvious also because things are so uncertain, life has become so uncertain. And California, because many alumni from West Coast, they have also joined from last few days, this California fire, the forest fire. That is an added problem. And I know I have an interaction with many of them. My daughter, she's also an alumni and she's settled in California. So she was telling COVID-19, then this forest fire, then the children's school and all, everything is closed. I don't know, life is moving in what direction. So,
Dr. Pathak, if I may interject.
Pardon?
If I may, interject for 1 second. So basically, we're seeing all these changes. I think all of us are aware of it. But in terms of you, when somebody walks into your office and says that I'm really stressed, I'm really worried about my job, I'm really worried about my health, what is it that you're telling them?
They are what I do. And one example again I will give you. Few days back only, a faculty member of BIT Mesra, head of the Department of Biotechnology, along with his wife, 2 daughters, and mother, they all got sick, this corona positive. And night hours, only last month, night hours, he was receiving a lot of phone calls from the town administration, even the BIT administration. They have to quit and they have to be hospitalized. He called me because, of course, I have left BIT only 3 years back, but he said, sir, I'm feeling like crying. Just suggest me what should I do. And I don't know anybody in Ranchi. I contacted one doctor, private hospital, doctor of private hospital.
Great. So basically you're saying, if I, again, sorry, in the interest of time.
No.
So what you're saying is that we need to support each other. Yeah.
No. That is there. What I told him, practice self-care and don't get afraid at all. Stay positive. Be positive. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to any one of us. So how to deal with it? That is the next problem. So anyway, and networking here also other one of the tips. Pardon?
Let's hear Jagdish's views on this. What your 160,000 people, Jagdish, and it's not easy. I'm sure you carry a lot of weight on your shoulders, directly or indirectly. So what are you? How are you advising people? What are you telling them?
Thank you, Srini. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. Normally, if it was 88 to 91, I would have expected that I was waiting outside Dr. Pathak's office for something wrong that we had done, like, got caught smoking in the campus or doing something more that we didn't want to do. But good to see sir here and being able to catch up. I think from a resilience perspective, the world has seen, obviously all of us have talked about change, opportunity, etc. I think my definition of resilience are a few different things. One, the fact that uncertainty is going to be there is going to be standard. So we better prepare ourselves as much as we can for uncertainty. Like Dr. Pathak said, California or US, people are worried about or can get worried about getting a pink slip. I think the same is going to happen here. As we start to get more and more global in everything we do, the changes that was limited to California is not going to be limited to California. It's going to be limited to every part of the world, and India is going to see it. Businesses like ours will have to take calls depending on where you are. So first advice to people is, or advice to myself is, that guys, don't think that losing a job is the end of the world. It's really something which is telling you that you have to probably skill yourself and reskill yourself to be relevant. And to me, I think treat it positively, because losing a job is not necessarily in the world a bad thing. Like in the startup world, failing is not a bad thing. Similarly, in a career, to lose a job and to look for something else is going to be pretty standard. So first, accept it, that that's the new normal. Second, from a perspective of how to make sure that you are going to be relevant, I think there are a few things that you have to build into your career. A, always be able to make sure that you're networking and constantly be aware of what you're doing now, as Moore's law told us long back, is going to change much faster and at a double the speed than what you have. COVID has only prepared us. And I think that preparation is what we call as VUCA world, is in capitals, in font size 15 or 25, whatever you want, the largest font size you want to use. This couldn't have been more VUCA than anywhere else. The only way to build resilience is to make sure that you're constantly building something for the future. whichever stage in your life or your career you are, and knowing that what you know today is not going to be relevant tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean 12 months, 18 months, something of that nature. And that's something that got to be preparing yourself to be ready to do. That's my, um, that's what we try to do in the company. That's what we try to do as part of my role in NASCOM. And that's what we try to do to myself to make sure that we can be relevant.
Thank you. Arnab?
Uh, First of all, thank you very much, Bitosa, Bangalore, for hosting us for this incredible panel. I feel extremely privileged. Dr. Gopal Pathak was our chief warden when I was in BIT, and Jagdish sir has been my mentor and guide for the past 2.5-3 years. So I feel completely enamored sharing the same stage with these two great gentlemen. So thanks a lot for actually inviting me for this. From the perspective of resilience, if you look at the year 2020, it has been an incredible year. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The year, and probably 2007-8 was not a monumental year for us as an economy in India, but it's a similar parallel can be drawn with what happened in the US, etc. So in terms of resilience, if you see and from both professional and personal perspective. From personal perspective, it has given people opportunity to spend time. Those ones who have been lucky and not been negatively impacted by COVID-19 has given people the opportunity to stay close to their loved ones for an extended period of time, and you have cut down on travel, especially people who have been working in Bangalore. So that has given an opportunity to spend that extra time with family and build on those bonds. I mean, in our regular lives, we sometimes let our personal relationships go haywire because we are all in the professional race. So that has actually helped. So that's one of the positive side. From a professional side, several people have been impacted, several people will be impacted, but then again, it's as Jagdish sir said, it's one of those incredible points in your career where you can afford to take a step back, realize what you have been doing. And if you do that, nobody will fault you for that. You can always say, look, 2020 was the year of COVID. Everybody had a chance to do some more thinking, take a stock of where they are heading in their professional career and think of something different. And the way the economy actually has behaved, the way people have behaved, this actually going to be a landmark in the terms of the way country has developed. The kind of acceleration that we have seen and the wide scale adoption of technology that we have seen, I would assume lot many people would be jumping towards building solutions or careers in building technology for a large part of India. The extended Bharat that we call, which is moving beyond the first 200 or 300 million people who have been truly digitalized. So a great opportunity, either way, whether you are doing comfortably well in your careers, or you are thinking of starting something on your own, or you are thinking of taking a new challenge. It's a brilliant point in time to pause, reflect, and prepare yourself for the next assault, for the next how many ever years you want to run on that treadmill.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. So that's great, right? So all of you are seeing hope in this cloud of doom and gloom kind of a situation. You're saying that, look, let's not get carried away. Good things come, bad things come, but let's stick to it. Let's think innovatively, think differently, and let's make things happen. Great, thank you so much. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit and go more personal, right? So if I ask you, Dr. Pathak, there's this pre-COVID era and now the post-COVID or during the COVID era kind of thing, and then obviously be a post-COVID era. So right now, if you were to look at, like you said, January 20th or 21st, when this whole thing started to now, how has your personal life changed? How is, in terms of goals, in terms of what you want, how you interact with people? Obviously, it's not the same thing. You can't walk into somebody's office. You can't ask somebody to come and meet you. And also socially, I don't have friends coming and meeting us anymore. We can't do the beer pay charcha, for example, anymore. So how has that changed for you, and what are you doing?
For me, it has not affected much because every day I'm going to my office. There are certain responsibilities, and going to my office, staying there for 2-3 hours. Of course, online.
So you are the lucky one.
Pardon?
You are the lucky one, I said.
So online discussion and meeting goes on. Normally we have various principals and directors of various colleges. So every day something is there. So 2-3 hours even going out and then coming back home. It has not affected much. No doubt we are not visiting anybody's house or any guest is coming to our house and all. So sometimes we feel lonely, but here I tell you, and I suggest everybody during this time, how to develop, means there are tips to develop resilience. It's not that we say be resilient and all, it's very easy for everybody. I have seen many persons, in spite of all instructions and all, they are shaky and some, it's nature, the psychology that you cannot change overnight, or COVID is not going to teach us so quickly. So this networking, as I said, that is also one, and Arnav also mentioned, what happened with Dr. Ramesh Chandra? When he contacted me, we could do something. So this networking and stay positive, even if your job is gone. As Jagdish also said, that is not the end of the world. Maybe God is planning something better for you, or you may also plan something for you. So be positive. That positivity, anyway, what has to happen, that will happen. So that kind of theory, one should accept it. And you have not done it. You have not done any crime. You have not done any mistake. But even these days, the challenge is the biggest challenge. Even if we know that he is COVID positive or Corona positive, people are so scared. Nobody wants to even talk with them. And what Dr. Ramesh Chandra told me, sir, every day you are calling me and talking with me. But many people, close persons, they are even not talking as if I have done something wrong. So this mindset also need to be changed. And we are facing in the society. You also must have experienced, the sticker is posted over there, Corona positive. So that psychology also kills you and breaks you. So mindset also need to be changed. But here, since we are focusing on career resilience, so here also one has to practice self-care. If he should try for something else, even small, your startup and all, one can plan whatever they can do. So options one should go for. And always they should think, again, it's part of being positive. Maybe something else, something good is waiting for you. So don't get discouraged. Don't get disheartened. Even what Jagdish said, I had suspended many students because that was the demand of my office. But I said to them, even if for 6 months, you learn your C++ or make yourself strong utilizing this time, finding opportunities during challenges. Okay, it has happened. We cannot change it. COVID-19, my job is gone. What should I do now? Maybe some other option. So to stay positive, that is the greatest tip. And networking, again, and I told you, you try contact your friends, relatives, well-wishers. Somebody may give you some idea. But you are sitting like a distressed person, mentally upset. Nobody will come and help you. You have to help yourself. And you have to proceed further and try to find out some solution and focus on why this has happened. What could be the other solution, other alternative? So here again, stay positive, which I always mention, under any odd circumstances, think it positively.
Thank you. Jagdish, from your perspective?
Personally, I think lots, yeah, Srini. Almost everything has changed, and I'll be lying if I say that I'm enjoying this digital world, though I'm supposed to propagate the whole digital world. And for a tech company and for a strategy guy and driving growth, I have to make sure that we set the right message. But I'm absolutely missing more things and probably being lot more personally impacted on everything that we used to do, because everything has changed. And I don't think anyone we go out and tell the world that Tech Mahindra or any of the IT top companies were 95% fully operational in 2 weeks' time. And that's true. And we didn't plan for it. I don't think anyone could have done a drill of saying how, in our BCPs or whatever we do, that we could have planned for it. And similarly in our personal lives, I don't think we could have planned for anything like this and planned for it. So whether you call it, one of the things work-wise that I miss most, I miss the ability to, the things that I used to curse, I miss most. I used to travel almost, almost 4 times a week outside of Delhi, or 6 times, traveling outside of Delhi, and maybe international and so on and so forth. So there were a lot of travel, and at one point of time, you get sort of slightly bugged about this whole being the suitcase man. Now I'm missing that because 6 months I haven't done any of that travel, and I'm only sitting in front of a laptop and talking to people, which to me, frankly, is extremely boring. And it's not something that I have got used to. So, but have I got more productive? Uh, Maybe. I think that the jury is out on saying whether I've become more busy than less productive. That I think we'll judge. But getting used to the new world of working is probably working. You know, as personal life, absolutely everything that we used to do, socialize, sport, everything else has gone out of the window. There's nothing that can give you the personal experience on a digital world. But maybe we will all get back to some sort of a normal, because the good part of being in Delhi is everyone's breathing in better air. So I would rather probably breathe better air and give up some of my social skills a little less, and live in a slightly more pleasant environment. So things like exercise, things like cycling, things like doing a walk or something which we never did ever so regularly is better for personal lives. Eating, diet wise has become better. Work wise, as I told you, has been completely, we all figured out that soon we can get adapted to this Zoom culture or Microsoft Teams culture or a WebEx culture, and we can still get work done. We can sell to people, which is what, I'm sorry, as a business, that's why we survive. That we've got to make business, we've got to make sales happen. Even that demand for, just to give you from a Tech Mahindra perspective, our pipeline in business has never been better in the last 3 years than what it is now.
Wow.
So that's, there are things to learn, I guess.
So more power.
But if you ask me to go back to the previous world, I'll raise my hand and say yes.
Yes, but nevertheless, this is not too bad.
No, not at all.
So Arnab, you are in the cat seat from the government perspective. And so I guess the policy makers, so to say, the implementers, all of them must be completely crazy times, correct? So how are you dealing with that change, and what, from your personal perspective, how are you dealing with this?
Absolutely. So from my personal perspective, and my perspective should not be seen as the normal perspective, because
obviously
a lot of us are very lucky people who have tuned into this conversation are very lucky that most of us can afford to work from home. There are several of us who cannot afford to work from home, for whom the livelihood has been massively disrupted. And there's no two doubts about that. So if you think from a broader perspective, there have been more bads than goods that has come out of this really unfortunate pandemic that has gripped the entire world. From my personal perspective, it has been an incredibly productive year. And for multiple reasons. The first reason is that I have been working in government and private circles where most people who are higher up in the value chain, you have to go and meet them. I remember the first time I actually made one of my bosses install Zoom. This was in early March. And from there has been no looking back. I mean, I don't have to go and meet people, spend time traveling, etc. That's the first thing. And as a result of which, it has allowed me to focus on doing what I do the best. It has taken away all the distractions. You can't switch on the TV because for the first few months, all that you could see on television was the numbers that could scare you. And so many other things are happening. I mean, this morning the news came that the main protagonist in Black Panther, he passed away. So it has been an incredibly unfortunate year for those reasons. I've have been able to focus on building things and have been able to do so with trust of people like Jagdish. I mean, in early March, we started building Aayog Setu. For the first 2.5 months, I was literally living in a bubble. I did not know what was happening around the world. or around in Delhi also. I mean, the only focus was go build this product and release this. Taking a cue from there, we are now in the process of building a few more other products. So for me, it has made me focus on switching off all distractions, allowing me to do what I love doing the most, which is creating products, creating technology solutions, and focus on creating impact. So that has been a very, very good year, at least for me, from a professional perspective. Even from a personal perspective, my wife and I both are career first people. And the lockdown has forced us to stay static in a place. So which is also a very good thing. So from a professional and personal perspective, and all of us who are in this position should consider ourselves very, very lucky, extremely privileged, that a lot of us have been able to continue with our livelihoods, continue with our professional and personal lives, despite what is happening around us. Not a lot of us, that are the people that we know, are fortunate enough. So it's our responsibility as a society to do our bit, to make sure that we make lives of them comfortable as well. So everybody who has been your touch point pre-COVID, let's make sure that we actually try to ensure that they also are passing through this difficulty together, not as on completely on their own. So that has been my perspective, but I'm very, very thankful to a lot of people who have shown immense trust in people like me to allow us to build technology solutions that will be really useful for the country as a whole as we come out of this COVID-19 situation.
Good, thank you so much. So Jagdish, if I may, so you must have the largest number of, apart from Dr. Pathak, of course, but people who are trying to start families, start dating, look at, like for example, I myself found my wife only because we used to work together in Wipro, and she used to sit 2 seats away, right? And that's, I think the persistence finally broke her, and she said, okay, I'll marry you, right? So I can't do that over Zoom, for example. So how do you do this? What so the whole society kind of changes. So if you just take that one slice of life and say, look, young people interacting with each other, working with each other, going out for a coffee, going out for a drink, and that's how they get to know each other, and then start that whole thing. So what would be your advice to them? I'm sure there's a huge bunch of people who are kind of curious to figure this out.
Well, I don't know. This is a pretty tricky question. It's like saying, when you stop beating your wife, I don't know what to say, yes or no.
No, it was not. I didn't mean it as a trick question at all, because I'm saying you must be seeing this as happening in your teams, in your extended teams, and so forth. So
yeah. Thanks for clarifying, Srini. This, I don't want to speak this question too loud with a home with my wife's around, that I'm focused on how to meet people at this age. But the point is, I guess everyone finds their way out. You're not used to it. I see. I have a teenage son, and I guess the most interesting part is that they are constantly connected. Their world has been around digital. Their world has been around what we call as the digital native. And I am the one who's prodding him, saying that, why are you not stepping out? Why are you not spending more time outside? I think the world has changed. We probably sometimes look at these world with lenses that from our eyes. And these guys have a very different lens of life. I'm not suggesting by any standards that they don't want to meet people and they want to have a cup of coffee or go out. As you know, as soon as lockdown opened with our friends in America, they'll tell you, or in the UK, they'll tell you there was enough people in a pub or a bar. But the point I'll make is, I don't know whether our own websites to connect with people, but whatever they are. I mean, whether it's this.com or that.com, and I'm being careful just because I don't want to name them, and then I find out what the hell you were doing on those websites. So the point is that at the end of the day, people find their way out, Srini. And I think, like I was asking my son, that one of the biggest things in university was to be chat with someone outside class or in class. How do you do that in a Zoom environment with people doing this? So he said there is some app that you probably put on and you're actually having a side conversation. So technology will find its way out in different ways and different means to meet your desires or meet your objectives or meet your physical needs that you had of chatting up with people or conversation with people. Soon classrooms will allow people to be able to play that little bit of a prank. I was asking my friend's daughter that, one of the biggest things is to sort of, nudge each other in the class and fool around a bit as soon as the teacher looks the other way, right?
Right. Throw the chalk at the teacher.
And with Dr. Gopal Pathak now, who will probably not suspend us, that's what we did in classes in BIT Mesra as well. So that I think soon technology will allow you to be able to do things like that on the side. Will it change everything that we had physical? I don't think so. So we'll have to accept the reality and also accept the fact, Srini, that I at least call me super optimist. We all thought things will get over in 3-4 months' time. It's probably going to be longer, but it's not going to be this way for the rest of our lives. It can't be. So we'll get back to a certain sense of balance.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Arnab, Dr. Pathak, do you have any suggestions for the young people here?
Are you by any means trying to say I'm not young anymore?
No, but young at heart, young at thought.
Anyway, I am the youngest now. I am the youngest, so let me have this privilege. Hello, Arnab.
Thank you, Dr. Pathak.
I hope you will agree with me.
Yeah? Absolutely. You deal with the most young set of people.
No, I'm just telling you, because there is no other choice, but we have to accept it. And we have to accept it gracefully because we don't have any other option. It is like that. And the fact need to be accepted. So, as I told you, many people still, they are under pressure, particularly young ones. I've seen young lawyers, young doctors, particularly those who are having private practice. They are not earning also. Those who are having government jobs or even your private sector also secured jobs. So at least they are getting salary and doing their work online. But for private practitioner, this is the toughest time for young ones particularly. Seniors, they have already earned something and they can, but this is what we are discussing on, that is resilience, is accepting our new reality. We have to accept it, even if it is good or bad, but we have to. And under the circumstances, how to develop it also. As I told you about this positivity and all, and practicing self-care also. I suggest everybody, and here I would request all of you, take care of your health, mental health, physical health, both, because you are sitting in the house all the time. For me, as I told you, I go to my office for 2-3 hours and I get recharge, I should say, while coming back, at least for half an hour driving time and going to my office, sitting there for 2 hours and all, then coming back. But those who are not going out at all, it is very depressing. It had happened in the phase 1 for me also. For 20 days sitting in the house, doing nothing, watching some TV. And these days also, whenever and you all will agree with it, people are busy in Sushant Singh Rajput and Riya Chakravarti and all, this Bharat. And everybody is busy because you don't have anything to do. These things are also essential to update yourself. But if we don't have any other option, we have to have patience. We have to accept the challenge and try to deal with it. What next? That is not the end of the world. And as Jagdish said, it's not necessary that after 3-4 months, things are going to be over. It may continue for 1 more year. If you go through the report of Oxford University or even MIT for India, they have given a report. February is going to be the peak. They are going to reach the peak and then flattening and all. That is also simply a estimated kind of things. Nobody knows. It will go up to May, June or so. So we do not have any options. So we have to accept this reality and we have to accept the challenge. That is the only way we can survive. And under the circumstances, what best we can do. You are not going to achieve the scenario what we had before March. It is not going to come during this COVID-19. Rather, you are going to have sad kind of news also, your friends, neighbors, relatives. He is suffering or she is suffering. Every day we are receiving some phone calls. So there also they have to have patience and with all positivity, they have to deal with it. We don't have any other option. So what I want to say, we should accept the challenge and whatever best possible we can do. Here also expenses have also reduced. If somebody is not earning, where will you go to? You can't go to any hotel, restaurant, party, movie, theater, nowhere you can go. You don't have any option to be at home. So
yes.
that is a positive way to look at things.
Great. So Arnab, you want to add anything?
I think it's pretty much covered, but look, the technology has given us opportunity to try to reach out to more number of people that we have otherwise not been able to. So looking from that positive perspective, I mean, my 85-year-old grandmother, she and I can WhatsApp chat now or WhatsApp video chat now. She would not have thought about it about a year ago. I mean, she would expect
have
me
the
to
time.
visit her. Yeah, she would expect me to visit her, which I'll do once a year, but now I can talk to her whenever I want and whenever she's free. So there are positives also here. Look, I mean, this is an incredibly difficult time. The more we stay patient, the better it is for every one of us. So that's what we all need to do. We all need to stay restrained, make the best use of technology that we have, and stay connected to the friends, family, and loved ones. We will have our opportunity to go out, have that coffee with friends, or have that DPC. But that is what we call here in Delhi, Gurgaon. One of these days, very soon. But till that time, let's stay healthy and let's take care of each other one way or another.
Good. Thank you. So in terms of your own time frames of what you're looking at this thing lasting, I know it's all, you see this on a daily basis, but let's say you were to from the cat seat that you're in, Arnab, in terms of the government and the scenario planning that you do. So what do you see as the outside of this? This is 3 months, 6 months, a year. Somebody said February, but I don't doubt that, right? So what if it doesn't end? Then what happens?
See, I'm not going to hazard a guess here. It's an extremely tricky situation. Nobody can claim to be an expert on this. I mean, the close parallels that we can draw with our MERS and SARS, but COVID-19 has been much more viral than either of them. So we do not know what is going to be the sunset for this, and where we all can breathe easy, etc. The two points that will define when this starts becoming inactive is, first is when R naught, which is the rate of infectivity, really drops down below, say, 0.5. And the second thing is that when we have vaccines available, we have been seeing phenomenal work done by doctors and pharmacies and pharmaceutical companies across the globe. Let's all hope that we start getting that vaccine for one and all very soon. I think as and when we see that we have successfully proven the availability of a vaccine, is where we can start drawing a conclusion of how soon or how far will this stretch. But barring that, very difficult to hazard a guess. I mean, you would have seen headlines when people have said X many number of people will be infected by March, by May, by July, and all those have proven to be false. We as a country have been very resilient, using the word that you started this conversation with. From the very beginning, I mean, we have been disciplined. We have seen some indiscipline from a few quarters, but by and large, we have been very disciplined nation, and we have stuck to making sure that we defeat this together. So let's keep hoping that the rate of infectivity comes down drastically, and we have a tangible solution in the form of vaccine, and then we can all take an educated guess rather than all of us rolling the dice and coming up with new theories.
With some answer, yeah. Anything from you, Jagdish, in terms of how you're looking at it from the overall corporate perspective, saying that this is what we should be planning for, or you announced already that this is what we're going to be doing from a stay-at-home and work kind of perspective, or what you're telling your clients of what time horizons they should be looking at? Because like Arnab very astutely pointed out, this is not we are very fortunate here in this group, for example, right? But everybody doesn't have the same luxury. Somebody in your manufacturing, transportation, tourism, those people don't have livelihoods at all. Those industries are wiped out. So it's all good to say, okay, be resilient, be hopeful, be positive. But it's you have to be planning. You have to be thinking about saying, okay, what if it lasts 1 year? What am I going to do? What if I'm just going to be 6 months? And you said something very interesting when we last spoke between the two of us, that look for skills which are transferable. you might be a front office person in the hotel. And if you don't mind repeating that, what you told me, I think that was extremely useful and powerful from when I heard you say that, right? Yeah.
Srini, I think prediction, as we have all realized, is not going to work. We'll have to rely on certain people. If you have heard some commentary from Bill Gates about when developed nations are going to come up and when underdeveloped nations or developing nations will come up. So anywhere between predictions are middle of next year to end of next year to whatever. And who knows, right? I mean, we've been predicting a lot of things, but this is obviously beating every such prediction. How do you prepare for it? I guess, you do to make sure that your business is more and more adopting. And like, this WhatsApp joke that's doing the round that, COVID is my chief digital officer, is really something that's so true. It's actually where when we talk to customers and businesses, and when we look at our own business, including things that we want to launch or we have done, are trying to transfer the whole business opportunity to a digital model. And obviously, those who have significant supply chains which are physical oriented can't do that offline. But if they get that prepared, then what they were planning to do 4 years later, what I call this speed, size, and scope, is just got multiplied and brought forward 3 years. So whatever every business was doing was nothing new. So you talk about someone talking about augmented reality or whatever. These are all examples of things that people have done. Now that augmented reality, suddenly people are using shit. In fact, sorry, pardon my French. I didn't mean to use that word. But the point is that if you look at your retail business and say that this was something that we could have done, and I still would have got my customers. You had planned to do it 4 years later. You could probably do it now, right? But if you do it now, also it's not late, right? So we're doing some work with Arnab's team and so on and so forth in NITI on doing something with the government in that respect. As far as preparing and being ready for how do you make sure that your businesses are going to be relevant for the future, and being able to accept that the future is still not going to be predictable. I think one thing for sure, one is that everything that was possible to be imagined as digital can be done digital. And so businesses will be urged to start looking at that as the first step. If you want to be able to, and this is a great time, right? We are going to make changes in our company, and I'm sure people should do for the same for them, because when COVID hit, you have a chance to try a new thing. And if you fail, it's okay, because you tried to do something completely different than what you actually try to do on a regular basis. So from our perspective, you look at examples, examples of hotels, example of in our own India, Make My Trip. There are examples of such companies, Hyatt's, Make My Trip, whose business has been completely wiped out. How do they handle it? Make My Trip is now starting to say that I have relationship with hotel, I can get you delivered food. Will that cover all their revenues? No.
No chance.
Hyatt is trying to do something similar with their spa services and with their gourmet restaurants food to do. Similarly, what I've heard, for example, with the work that we're happening now, right in UP, construction workers getting registered with the district magistrate, and they don't need to travel back to where you guys are from in Karnataka. They can get jobs in UP. Now, will that solve everything? No. But will it give people an alternate model? My biggest example, Srini, is, which when I was talking to you, is people talked about how Uber came and wiped out the London black cabs.
Right.
Okay. And for anyone who's been in London and knows about them, those black cab guys, if you know the test that they go through, there's a London AV. They have to know the map inside out. Okay. And obviously with GPS and with Google Maps, you don't need that memory anymore. But tomorrow, when autonomous cars happen and you don't need the driver also, then the first person to lose the job will be the Uber car driver. But the guy who has immense memory and the ability to remain, have a image-wise memory, has multiple job options. So that's what I meant by saying, if you have your core skill right, you will get a job in another industry in spite of digital and automation. It will be tough, but you will get that.
Great.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Srini sir, I'm just jumping in.
Yes, I
And Jagdish,
know, I know. Yeah, the audience is very,
I mean,
very eager to ask a lot of questions here. So
yes.
we'll turn that over to them. And yeah,
Yeah, so we've got our first question coming in from Sheetal ma'am. CS, if you could switch on her video and allow her to speak.
Hi, am I audible?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, a very good evening to Gopal Pathak sir and all the other panelists. So very good session. So I have two quick questions. Resiliency was very, very relevant since past few years. It's not something new. But with COVID, the demand for resiliency has increased multifold. With respect to that, this question is for Jagdish sir. What would be your advice for people in their like entering into their 40s or starting in their early 40s? What would people in the 30s would have can do to make this easy journey easy? And the other is for high school students in 10th and teenagers, right? What would be your advice? Because there's a lot of confusion going on between developing skills and need for marks or no marks, Google and companies adopting without marks and degrees. So, it's mind boggling for the kids as well as the parents. And we actually don't know what the truth is.
Sheetal, thanks for the question, but it always embarrasses me when people need advice about education from me. Because when people have asked that question to me earlier, and there are a few from my batch in this group, uh, I barely managed to pass. Okay, so that's the last question that you should ask for someone who's managed to get a GPA good enough to get through the college. But when you come through after 25, 27 years, and when there are people in whose kids are going to go into entrance and so on and so forth, and they come and ask this advice from me, I really look back 27 years back and say, hey, listen, this is really, the world has come a full circle. They're asking advice from a guy who was actually struggling to get his own college admissions and getting through the grasses. But I just probably some general knowledge, commonsensical answers, probably Sheetal, if that helps, rather than being knowledgeable about it. Because if you ask me what I learned in the microprocessor class, I have no idea yet if what I remember. So from my perspective, for people above 40, I think, again, there's no standard, right? Because people are doing different jobs, different roles. But just to give you an address of where people are, if people are above 40, I think you've got to understand how businesses are changing. Okay, absolutely across, saying how the industry that you're operating in or the business that you're operating in is changing, and how will you therefore develop a skill which is relevant. So if I'm a manager and I have two skills to understand, where first of all, remember that this is flattening of the pyramid as much as we want. This is going to happen with digital. The hierarchies are going to get further and further taken away. So your management skills, your managerial skills are not going to be the same where you give an advice from the top and everyone follows down the line. So if you are a manager, better learn how to co-create, co-source ideas and be first amongst equals rather than being the boss. Yeah. So, that will probably make sure that those attributes of co-creating, co-sourcing will make sure that you improve. For the people in 30s, again, I'm trying to imagine what a people in 30s would do in different industries, uh, uh, just because I have just crossed 30. But the point is that, from our perspective, the 30 guys are probably in their midlife, mid-career type, had probably have 10, 15 years of experience, 10, 12 years of experience. I think this is a time where you want to make sure that you're still not cut off from technology. Technology is going to be embedded, whether it's AI or whether it's blockchain or whether it's anything else. You better understand the application of those. I'm not asking, I don't at least, and I don't know what Arnab's view is. He's a die-hard technologist, but my view of having moved from computer science to more on the business is that you probably need to know more about application of the technology more deeper and usage of technology that you probably need to apply as the world changes. For people in school and for people who are joining in, the job market, do as much of the job you can do. Especially for school going kids, you will be amazed the number of seventh and eighth graders that are doing internships today in summer and during class. You go to websites for interns. I had just applied for one and I had 50 people in Delhi from reputed business schools in like IIMT Ghaziabad and IIMD Gurgaon and other places who were ready to do their jobs for free to get an assignment going. Don't lose that experience because that opportunity will make you richer only. So my only job ask of those guys is do as many internships, as many jobs that you can do because that can only make you richer. Sorry, long answer to your question, but you asked someone, as I told you, who was barely about to pass.
That was a great answer, Jagdish. Sheetal ma'am, sorry you are muted, and unfortunately I don't have the rights to unmute you. But thank you so much for that roundup. Next question we've got coming from Arup sir, right from Silicon Valley.
Sorry. Thank you, sir. I couldn't say because I've passed through all these stages and I so much agree to this advice, and you just confirmed my beliefs. So thank you so much. Very well articulated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. As Vivek mentioned, I'm Arup Zutshi. I'm from the 1984 batch, a proud member of the Bitosa fraternity. I loved some of the comments the esteemed panel members said, which was towards skilling, reskilling. We heard the word VUCA. And I thought, let me ask a question in line with that. And that is, would you recommend and do you think the certifications from agencies like Coursera, EDX, Udemy are becoming more and more relevant? Is that how we should skill ourselves? And then do you think this will have an impact on the technical education at campuses and universities? So obviously, I would like to direct this question to Dr. Pathak, who probably will have incredible insight in this area. So Dr. Pathak, would really appreciate your response to this question. Thank you.
So in other words, is Jharkhand University replaceable?
Arup, can you repeat the question?
So my question is, we heard the words earlier talking about, like I said, skilling, reskilling, and VUCA. And my question is, will platforms and certifications from agencies like Coursera, EDX, Udemy become more relevant? And should people reskill themselves using this? And will this have an impact on technical education, which we all believe is also evolving, and will it keep pace with the changing world? So it's a two-step question. I hope you can respond to that. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. And definitely, as you said it, because government is also focus on your skill development and all, and many certification courses students they are doing in addition to their regular coursework. So this is a very good idea. And I think I will send you my email. In my own university, there are some 65 colleges are there. So in the last meeting, also in academic council meeting, we had a discussion on this skill development and all. So particularly these areas, which you mentioned, will give them an opportunity to learn and to earn a certificate also. And that may help him also, even if they are going for any job or joining any company, or even if they want to do something of their own. So this is a very good idea, and I would be in touch with you. I will be sending you my email, and thank you. I remember when you were in hostel number 1, but you had thick hair and all. Hostel number 1, I think you were there. I recall those days. So I would see you after a long time.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was a candid moment. Thanks so much for sharing that, Gopal Pathak. I hope you don't remember me, because I was the notorious one. Moving on.
I remember only notorious guys, simple guys. I had not to deal with them. Good guys, goody, they passed out and they left the institute. But how can I forget you? I will tell you something about yourself also after this meeting and all. So
All
please
right.
carry on.
Thank you. So moving on to the next question, we've got another one coming from Amitabh sir. So CS, can we have him online?
Yes, I hope you are able to see me. I am outside because my wife is inside watching television. Okay, so this is the pen and these things. So my question is to Arnab. Okay, I am 2000 batch MCA pass out. Okay, and I'm currently working in Unisys and would like to contribute to the government initiatives. On that same line, I wanted to check on two things with Arnab because he works in as part of NITI Aayog. Okay, that how can we approach? I see mygov.in and sites and all, but I see that those are only for some quick ideas, some apps, something you develop on technical front. Okay, so can we I see there is no India-wide technical forum as such. I am not sure if it is there, but currently I see only NASSCOM representing, but NASSCOM is a business body, okay, business and services body. I am just looking for something we can contribute technically. I am a core technical guy. So can we form a technical forum, technical advisory group or something for the government or for the NITI Aayog, and we can contribute? How easily we can do that? My question is.
Thank you very much for that question. And the answer is very, very simple. The day you want to start is the day we will get you started. Ask Jagdish, we have been working since March on a bunch of products. I mean, at this point in time, for Aayog Setu, we had 80 engineers working on the product, and the 6 other products that we have been building, there have been about 100, 150 engineers who have been working on these products. So if you can code or if you can bring that technical knowledge or the functional knowledge, the time is right. We have been in development mode, building products for the country. Just let us know. Be out there. Let us know that you want to contribute. We have to thank volunteers like yourself who have contributed their time, their skills to build the kind of technology products that one we have seen already, and a few more we will see in companies. And the more people like you are keen to contribute outside of your regular work, the more products that we can build, which will make an impact at India scale. And as I keep saying, develop products at billion scale.
Yes, thank you for the. So I will get in touch with you. I would love the enterprise architecting kind of things if I can do something for my nation. Okay, and maybe forming some core technical task force or something. I know there are enough engineers and all, but at the higher level, mostly business prospects or business things like moving the business from China. So if we can build a task force on technical lines, so that easily we can get more work, whatever is going to China, and we can do here. Okay, and another way we can help our government. Okay,
that's
so on that line,
wonderful.
we'll get in touch with you. Yeah.
Thanks, Arnab. Thanks for the wonderful answer. I think along with questions, we are also getting some job applications over here. That's great. So next one we've got Soma ma'am coming from Kolkata. Please, ma'am, ask your question.
Yeah, hi, good evening to everybody. I think this is a fabulous discussion, I think, and also very heart-to-heart chat. So really enjoying the format. My question is to Jagdish sir. So I'm from 92, 96 batch, and I run a company in analytics services. Jagdish sir, you talked about, the time that we are in and how we are adapting to it. For a CXO level, a leader, a top leader, how do you see that given the situation that we are in, which is looking like will be continued, probably new mode of working, hybrid mode and all that probably will come up. But in the interim, where in the technology sector, most of the people are working from home. So, what are your suggestions on keeping them motivated, keeping them, glued to the work that they are doing?
Okay.
Soma, can you repeat that question? I hope Jagdish has got that.
Yeah, I got it. Got it. Can you hear me, Soma?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So, from a perspective of uh, the CEO, CXO community and being able to, your question primarily being about how does the whole workforce, the employee base, everything remain integrated and motivated. Um, See, from our perspective, I can only tell you what I'm seeing and what people are doing. And probably in the virtual world, we all will have to learn more about that. First mantra is to communicate, communicate, communicate. So you have to make sure that you're communicating on a very, very regular basis. Probably repeat everything 5 times over till people get it, because there is every chance that all the objective that we are talking about is getting lost in this whole clutter. Because you can see, right, the number of webinars, the number of conversations, the number of detailed discussions that are happening across the board on digital fronts are way too many. We are handling too much clutter already of different sources of information that are coming and hitting you. So the first mantra to leaders is, whichever way you are, ensure that you are communicating on a regular basis so the message is not lost. And we are trying to do that in our company on a regular basis. Sometimes it may sound repetitive, but it's important that you ensure that the message is not lost. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think the whole objective of ensuring that at the end of the day, you have a set of people who are today living a very remote workforce engagement, right? So usage of technology tools which allow you to collaborate more specifically, more and address that so that people can actually use development of solutions, whiteboarding of solutions, and those are things that you miss in the real world, where you can go up to a whiteboard and engage with people that you can't do here. So idea is to also make sure that these discussions happen in smaller groups. Okay. So if it's happening in smaller groups, then you get a chance to be able to engage that. So that make sure that your teams are broken into smaller groups. And one of the things that I think, especially for companies from India, we have adopted remote working because of what happened now. All of us were at about 5-7%, but the future is going to be more about 30-40% remote working. We're all looking at doing away with majority of our real estate, majority of our offices. But that pushes a lot of challenge on managers. Your ability to job step and give tasks or work packages which are easily defined will require you to work harder in order to give that package out to your team, so that you know that this is what, because you're not going to be able to watch on someone's shoulder and say, come and meet me at 10:30 and then again at 12:30 to see how much it is done and whatever. Those days are gone. So improve on a relationship basis more trust, because you have to be able to trust your team members. There is no way that you can work with a manager or a team member whom you can't trust. And to enable work outcomes, you have to package them in smaller bits. And the final bit that we all do, HRs in bigger organizations and mid-sized organizations are either doing in Indian organizations Rangoli, or in different forms of parties in Western organizations to go out. Those are gone. So how do you make sure social engagements happen? Again, one of the things to do is don't force people, but form smaller groups. Some of our teams have done Friday evening sessions. Some of our teams have done sessions which they do on Saturday mornings just to catch up on what's going on over breakfast. And to take from our Prime Minister, one of our leaders in Boston does it, what they call as an equivalent of chai pe charcha. So they just all get their morning cup of tea on a Friday morning and just chat what happened in the week, if something nice happened. So bring that informality into the conversation. Those are 2 or 3 things that I would recommend. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Make sure your work package is very well defined because there is no ambiguity. Third is bring small informal groups into conversation.
Thank you.
Great answer.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Thanks. I think what Jagdish sir is saying, I can sum it up into communication, culture, and clarity. Right. So moving on to the next question, we are running kind of short of time. So I'm just checking who is next. We've got, give me a second. We've got Sandeep coming up next. Sandeep, can you come online and start asking your question quickly?
Yes, I think I'm already online. Can you see me or?
Yes.
Yes.
We can see and hear you.
Okay, good. Jagdish has eloquently spoken about the various aspects of relevancy. I had only one question, Jagdish, and what happens now is that there seems to be a change and everybody is learning new things. My question is that if we were learning in our times, we had one subject and we built a career on it. Now it seems that you would have to relearn multiple times. Is there some way of optimizing this learning, or is it the only way to go? Each time something will come up, we learn about it, and then we move forward. Because the return on the learning, I think so, is gone. I mean, it would be only, the period will become shorter. Is there some way of optimizing this?
Well, Sandy, I think a couple of things, right? You probably have to accept the new normal, that there has to be much faster unlearning and much faster learning. So world of bite-sized learning will improve. So you'll have to make sure that we are learning things which are in smaller packages and being able to learn them faster. You asked our software guys to be multi-stack programmers, right? All of you in technology are asking people to be multi-stack enabled. There's no reason why the rest of the people who are not in software can't be multi-stack. Doesn't mean that you've got to be masters of everything. You have to choose which area. But in that area itself, the delta changes, you've got to catch up and make sure you learn. I don't think that's the optimization that I would recommend, rather than try to do 10 things at the same time. So if you are in one area of work, what is happening new in that area of work and what is the future of that business is, I'm a big believer that if you understand the business well and you're able to understand what the future of business will be, you'll probably get to do 50% of the job done. The rest of the 50% is on what areas that you want to specialize in. But understanding business is probably the most critical part.
Okay, got it. Thanks a lot, Jagdish.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Last question we've got, that's coming from Ritik. Ritik, are you there? All right, it looks like we've lost connection with Ritik. Srini sir, you want to take it back to you and move on to the next section?
Yes, please. So the next section is word of thanks, right? We've run out, we're almost 12 minutes over time. So I just wanted to, share what I thought was a summary of this whole discussion. Again, thank you so much for the panelists for kind of, making the whole thing so succinct and such clarity. I'm taking away three things. I'm saying stay positive, stay in touch, and stay relevant. Those are three things that I'm taking away from this session. Thank you so much. And in terms of everybody kind of coming together, making this happen, there's a whole bunch of people who were behind the scenes who really worked day and night to pull this event together and get the word out and have the community join in. So I would like to call out the Bitosa Bangalore team, starting with our president, Ramesh, Varun and Ashish, our vice presidents, Vivek and Anupam, our assistant vice presidents, Seema, our treasurer, and then a whole bunch of volunteers outside, Chandrasekhar, Neha, Prince, Anubhav, Rahul. A big thanks to all of you for your time and your generosity with your time. And I also want to thank every single audience member for coming over, listening to us, contributing to this conversation. And this is not the end of it, right? The conversation is going to continue. So you look at this as a start point, and any panelists that you want to reach out to, ask for personal guidance and all that. So we will enable that, and we could go forward with it. That's what I had to say, and thank you so much. Vivek?
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, Srini sir, for hosting this, and thanks to our panel members. Thanks for making the time. wishing everyone a good night and a good day to folks in the Silicon Valley. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.